With pristine soft sand beaches, world-class diving, and those giant, majestic pitons climbing out of the ocean, St. Lucia is waiting for you with open arms, even during COVID-19.
And the alarming news tonight about the coronavirus.
The risk of contracting the virus on a plane appears to be in the same category as being struck by lightning.
Devastating at every level. The U.S. reporting more than 371,000 American lives lost.
To answer a major question, just how risky is it?
Before we get into it, I just want to say COVID is serious. Traveling increases your risk. If you're going to make the decision to travel, make sure you do it safely. Make sure you plan. Make sure you wear a mask. Keep your distance. We want to keep everybody safe while we're out there still experiencing cool things. If you love traveling, go ahead and like this video. Drop a subscribe so we can build a community of world travelers together. I'm working on a series, so if you have any other places you're thinking about going right now, leave a comment down below. Let me know where you're thinking about going, and we can dig into it and see what we need to know. When you're planning on going to St. Lucia right now, you just need to know that St. Lucia has a wonderful website set up with everything you need to know on there. Tons of FAQs, plenty of information. I'll link that as well as the rest of my research down in the description below so you can check it out. Now, the requirements for St. Lucia are going to be a little bit different depending on where you're coming from. They're split into two groups, international travelers and what they're calling bubble travelers. International travelers are visitors from any countries outside of the quote-unquote travel bubble. International visitors will be people coming from the USA, the UK, Canada. You can see all the countries listed in the travel bubble here below. The travel bubble is established for people who have immediately before arriving to St. Lucia were in a bubble country for at least 21 days. Now, there's a little bit different requirements depending on if you're a bubble traveler or not. I'll mention what those differences are as we continue. So the first thing that you have to know when you're thinking about going to St. Lucia is that you have to do a COVID-19 PCR test. Anyone arriving to the island 5 years and older must have a COVID-19 PCR test with a negative result taken no more than 7 days before their arrival in St. Lucia. These test results have to be sent to sarscov2ell@gmail.com. And then when you get that COVID test, you have to also print off a copy of that test result and have that with you while you travel. Everyone going to St. Lucia has to complete and submit a travel authorization form. Now, the St. Lucia travel registration form is going to ask you your basic information, name, cell phone, email, passport number, those types of things. It's going to ask you your address. It's also going to ask you the countries that you visited in the last 14 days and the country that you're originating from. That helps them determine if you're a bubble traveler or not. Then there's just a section that talks about everything you need to know when you're coming into the island, so you can sign off and say that you know that information. It talks about testing for COVID-19, consenting to be tested if they deem that you need to be when you arrive. All of that information is in there. So you just make sure you want to read that thoroughly before you sign off on the form. And then when you're done, you sign off on that form and you submit it. After you submit that form, you're going to receive a confirmation email. Now, when you get that confirmation email, you have to print that off and keep it with you while you travel. It's important to note that you do not have to wait till you have the results for your COVID test to fill out that form. You can fill out that form without having the results of your COVID test. And then there is one more final form that you have to do. You have to do a health screening form. So on this health screening questionnaire, you really just have to give information about your exposure to COVID-19. If you have been a patient, if you know someone that's been diagnosed with COVID-19, if you've experienced any symptoms, if you've been at a hospital, your medical history that might put you at greater risk, as well as any information about your medication that you're on or your surgical history. And then you have to sign and date that. After doing that, you have to print that off and keep that with you as well while you travel. Now, on that form, you have to declare where you are staying. This is where things get interesting depending on if you're a bubble traveler, if you're not a bubble traveler. If you're arriving to St. Lucia from outside of that designated travel bubble, you have to have a confirmed reservation in a COVID-19 certified accommodation for the duration of your visit if it's less than 14 days, or for the first 14 days of travel if you're there for longer than 14 days. As you come to this website, you can see there's plenty of information here about where to stay during COVID-19, restaurants and tour companies. Now we're going to take a look at where to stay. They have it broken out between hotels and resorts as well as villas. If you look here, they have plenty of options, so you can dig in, find a hotel that fits your needs, fits your budget, and really dive into what place you want to stay at. Now, you have to stay at your accommodation for 14 days once you arrive as a quarantine period. Now, there are a couple exceptions, those being medical emergencies, participating in tours, and return travel if your trip is less than 14 days. You can stay in up to 2 hotels that are COVID-19 certified during your quarantine period. If you are identified to be a bubble traveler, you don't have to worry about that 14-day buffer quarantine period. You can stay anywhere on the island. If you are not a bubble traveler, you spend your 14 days in that hotel in your certified accommodation, and then after that, you're free to move about the island just like you were a bubble traveler. I know that all seems a little confusing, so what they did is they put together a great checklist to walk through to make sure you've made all the steps. The order: book your stay at a certified property, take your COVID PCR test no more than 7 days before travel, then you're going to send that to that email address. You print that off and save it so you have it while you're traveling. You complete the travel registration form. Then also you want to print and travel with a copy of the travel authorization letter that you'll receive. And then finally, you want to download, print, and travel with a completed copy of your health screening form. So you get to the island, what's it like? In the airport, you have to wear a mask, you have to social distance. You're going to be screened, they're going to do a temperature check, and if you display symptoms of COVID-19, they're going to immediately quarantine you and they're going to test you. If you do test positive, they're going to send you to the respiratory hospital for treatment at your cost. If you don't display any symptoms, then what you're going to do is take a certified taxi to your COVID-19 accommodation. You have to wear PPE while you're traveling via taxi. After you get to the hotel, you're expected to stay there for 14 days, unless you transfer to a different hotel or unless you're on a tour. Now, what's it really like? Masks are required in the public spaces at the resort. They're not required in restaurants once you sit down, and they're not required at the pool. So you can still enjoy the pool without a mask on. Now, there are plenty of things to still do. There are plenty of tour options to go on. Hop on their website, which we see here. You see all those options, dig into it, find something you want to do if you're looking to get off the hotel property. I suggest enjoying a tour that takes you to the pitons, which are absolutely remarkable. If you've been lucky enough to have been to St. Lucia before, leave a comment down below to let our fellow travelers know what they can't miss, or maybe some things that aren't worth the hype that they can avoid. After those 14 days, if you're continuing on, you have to check out of your COVID-19 certified accommodation, and then you can move to a bubble certified accommodation, and you can enjoy the rest of everything the island has to offer. The beaches, you can rent a car, dine at the local restaurants, all that kind of stuff. The island is open to you after that. And then when you leave, CDC recommends that after you travel, you get tested 3 to 5 days after traveling, and you stay home for a 7-day quarantine period. If you don't get tested, they say it's safest to stay home for 10 days. If you go to St. Lucia, I hope you love it. I hope you have a wonderful time. It is a remarkable, remarkable island full of great people and beautiful scenery. The island is so lush. The beaches are pristine. It is absolutely gorgeous. I hope you love it. But with that being said, St. Lucia COVID travel guide, Corbin there, done that. Travel safe, my friends.